Good morning. I almost hate to start, to be honest, because, one of the reasons we have these type of get-togethers is for people to get together and talk. And earlier, as I was going around and meeting a number of the guests here and talking about what they do in the town of Enfield or for the town of Enfield, it's very important, I think, that communication is what someone told me, the hub of what we do. If you're not communicating, you're not getting things done. So I apologize for breaking up the great conversations. I'll be brief, but I want to welcome you to the Enfield Economic Development Breakfast. I'm Matthew Koppler. I'm the town manager, relatively new, but yet old, if you can figure that out. And I want to thank you for joining us this morning and to reflect on our progress and look ahead to the future of economic growth in our community. Events like this are a reminder of the strength and resilience of our local economy. They're also a chance to connect, share ideas, and reaffirm our commitment to making Enfield a place where businesses can thrive, families can grow, and innovation can take root. We know that economic development doesn't happen in isolation. It's a result of collaboration between public officials, private partners, entrepreneurs, and community leaders. And today we're fortunate to have many of those individuals in this one room. Over the past year, Enfield has made meaningful strides, strengthening infrastructure, supporting local business, and investing in partnerships that help our economy thrive. But today's conversation isn't just about what we've accomplished, it's about where we are going. As many of you know, Enfield is located in the heart of the Knowledge Corridor. Does everybody know that? You heard that phrase before, Knowledge Corridor? It was something that actually, when I was here almost 18 years ago, as it were, I believe a lot of the economic development people in our area, Connecticut, Massachusetts, came up because we're a region rich in educational institutions, research centers, and innovation-driven industries. This gives us a unique advantage, and a responsibility for that matter, to harness the power of emerging technologies to support our local economy. One of the most exciting opportunities ahead is the role that technology and artificial intelligence can play in helping our businesses grow. These tools are no longer reserved for large corporations. They're increasingly accessible to small businesses and entrepreneurs. Whether it's automating routine tasks, improving customer engagement, or uncovering new market opportunities, AI and digital innovation can help existing businesses become more competitive and open the door for new ventures right here in Enfield. And that's what our goal is to harness that new technology here in our community. As a community positioned within the Knowledge Corridor, we have a unique opportunity to embrace these advantages and intentions and foresight. By investing in digital infrastructure, equipping our workforce with future-ready skills, and cultivating a spirit of innovation, we can ensure that both long-standing businesses and emerging startups benefit from the transformative potential of the technology and AI. I'm excited about the conversations we're going to have today and the ideas that will emerge. Thank you again for being here, for your commitment to Enfield, and for helping us build a future that both forward-thinking and rooted in values make this town special. I hope you enjoy the program, and with that, I am going to invite up to the podium our mayor, Ken Nelson.
First, I'd like to thank Matt for getting us all here this morning for this business breakfast, and maybe next year we could call it a business brunch and do it about 10 o'clock, a little early for me. I don't know about you. So first, I'd like to recognize all our dignitaries that are able to join us this morning. We have Deputy Mayor Pisner, Representative and Council Member Santinella, Representative Hall, Councilman Ungeier, Crissati, Senator Kissel's here, and Congressman Joe Courtney was able to make it today, and I really appreciate that. I know you have a lot going on. I'd also like to recognize our recently retired town manager, Chris Bromson, who made last year's breakfast such a great success, which allowed us to make this an annual event. Enfield is growing and changing. We offer great opportunities for business growth. To name a few, we have the mall development, the Mass Mutual campus, and our riverfront development. We will have Aaron tell us more about these great new additions to Enfield. As a small business owner, I want to recognize the importance of our small businesses too. We appreciate all the businesses that are here today. In the mid-90s, I took an abandoned garage and a dream, and I created State Line Auto, a full-service automotive facility. Having sold the business, here we are 30 years later, and I still feel pride when driving by the business. So I know the feeling of creating a small business as well as the challenges that go with it. We have been making strides to be more accessible with development services, one-stop shop, and holding business roundtables. We want small businesses to know Enfield is a good place to build their business. Our staff is willing to work with applicants. It all starts with economic development led by Aaron Markovich and his team, who will guide you to our development services one-stop shop led by Ray Stedward, our chief building official, Lori Witten, our director of planning, John Cabibbo, the chief engineer, and their entire staff. This process eliminates hurdles which cost businesses time, and we all know time is money. Today we're talking about how technology connects with our businesses. Our speakers have been looking forward and positioning Enfield on the leading edge of progress. One of the ways has been through the work at Connecticut State Community College as Nuntuck. They are a valued part of our community, and we greatly appreciate their contributions. Thank you to As Nuntuck and their team for supporting our annual program. I am thrilled to have all of you here today to support Enfield, learn how you can be more connected, and find resources to grow and expand your business. Thank you for being here. I would like to have Campus President Joshua Moon Johnson come up and provide a welcome for the college. He is an accomplished academic leader with over 20 years experience in higher education. I'm proud to introduce Joshua Moon Johnson.
Welcome to CT State as Nuntuck, the college campus for Enfield. I've been here for a few months now, and it's already been such a joy to get to know the folks within this community. I've lived in about 10 different states and worked in higher education for over 20 years at various large, prestigious Research One universities, small regional state universities, as well as my last 10 years in community colleges. One thing that I've already realized is Enfield is special. And I think that being a part of this community, getting to know folks here over the last few months, and even before that, during my research and interview process, it was easy to tell with coming to this campus and coming to this community that the folks who are involved here love Enfield and love as Nuntuck. And that's the kind of space that I want to be a part of. So thank you all for embracing me and welcoming me into this community. Over the last few months, I've gotten to know so many folks, not just at the campus, but in the community. And the welcome that has been brought to me, as well as to many others who possibly are newcomers to Enfield, really shows what this community, what this campus, and what this region is really all about. So thank you for all you've done for me, as well as to the many other people who maybe are coming to Enfield to begin their life. This breakfast today marks a partnership and continued partnership really between many agencies, government agencies, corporations, small businesses, as well as our education systems. And that's really what the purpose of community college is all about. We know that we're here for various reasons, but in the end, we're here for the people of Enfield. And I think regardless of our mission or our end goal, we know that that's the goal that we're really hoping to do, is to give folks here in this community a reason to stay here and a reason to thrive here with all of the different facets that we can do together. As for me as a community college leader, coming from various spaces, me coming here and the reason I chose to be at CT State as Nuntuck is because we have a shared goal. And the goal of community college, specifically in communities like this, is poverty reduction. And I might even say my goal is even bigger than poverty reduction and moving to poverty elimination. And there are many ways to do that, but community college is one of the most proven ways that we can change communities, not just for an individual's life, for the many generations that come after them. And it's been a beautiful story to hear from so many folks talking about they went here, their kids went here, their grandchildren go here, that's really what community college education is about, is transforming individuals' lives, generations to come after them, as well as the entire community. That's what as Nantucket here is to do, is to give people opportunity, to give them the ability to move into a career, not just that earns a living wage, but that they love and that they enjoy, and they can deeply invest into their talents and their skills to thrive as a family, as also to thrive as a community. And we're excited to be able to continue that journey with all of you here with that today. As much as we say community college is one of the most proven ways for poverty reduction and elimination, it's not something that a community college does alone. We have to do that with our industry partners. We have to do that with the local businesses, our elected officials. That's when we see community colleges and industries truly thrive and transform communities. And I'm so confident that all of us here in this room can do that. So with that, we want to be able to understand what your needs are. We want to be able to understand what are future careers that don't even exist right now. How can we hear from you what you want your skilled workers to know, to do, and to thrive? And how can we help prepare those folks to go from possibly underpaid jobs, undervalued jobs, give them the skills, help them align that with their purpose, and prepare them to leave this campus and to move into industry and to work with all of you to help you be successful, help us be successful, and in the end, help the citizens and community members of Enfield be successful. I'm excited about the energy in this room. I'm excited about all the partnerships that will continue to come as we think about what could be the future of work here in this town, in this community, and what could be the future for all of our students that we're serving here at Nantucket. So thank you for joining us for this lovely breakfast, and look forward to many more conversations to come.
Good morning, everybody. Aaron Markovich, Director of Economic and Community Development. I'm the guy on the email that you've probably had to go through. Either that or Christy Koisonen, our Community Development Specialist, who really helps me make sure that things can actually get done. So I want to thank the staff that's here from the town. We have a fantastic staff with the town, and we really appreciate everything that goes into all the work that they do. So I'm going to try to pick up the pace a little bit because we want to keep everything on time as much as possible and make sure Joe Courtney has a chance to talk about things. So if I talk too fast, I'll apologize now. I don't drink coffee. So we're going to take a look ahead. I was here about 6 months into the job last time, so it was very much a crash course in economic development in Enfield and what was going on. Since then, I have gotten a little bit smarter, a little bit faster, and know most of these. If you don't see the particular project you are interested in, or your particular concern, or your particular whatever, please let me know afterwards, and I can try to fill you in and or get the information from whoever has that kind of information. I want to be, the mayor talked about kind of the central core of things for businesses. I use the term ombudsman, so if you have an issue within the community, within the town that you want to have addressed, feel free to give me a call. I'm your liaison for that, and we'll try to help you out. So I wanted to start with the municipal projects. The town has a variety of projects that are currently ongoing and moving forward. As the mayor mentioned, the whole Enfield Depot, where we've moved planning and building and zoning all into one space so that you can access that. You'd no longer have to come into town hall to access those. Additionally, if you don't know, that Enfield Express is where the tax department is located, and you can head straight there if you need to pay taxes. Town Hall did change its security procedures. You now need to enter through the big columns in the front of the building. And instead of coming in below, we spend a lot of our day looking out the window and seeing people try the back doors and looking very befuddled and then leaving. So know that there is that change there. Other things that are going on, the America 250 commemoration. If you haven't heard, next year is the 250th anniversary of the American Revolution and the founding of the United States, the Declaration of Independence. Our own local hero is a guy that's standing there on that pedestal, Thomas Abbey. He called everybody out of the Wednesday lecture, basically Wednesday church service, and got them activated whenever he heard that Lexington and Concord had happened. So he's our own local drummer, and he brought a group up to Lexington and Concord and helped fight in the American Revolution. We're going to have 3 major events next year. We're going to have some sort of commemoration around Thomas Abbey in April. We're going to build upon our July 4th program that's already a big part of things. And add some, maybe some black powder, maybe some rifles, we don't know. And then likely a program in November that will be around Purple Heart, because the very first Purple Heart that was ever awarded was actually in an Enfield resident. So we're going to be looking to do a lot of that. I'm overseeing, I'm the staff liaison for the America 250 committee. I know we have some of our America 250 committee members here, Maya, Alex, and we're going to be hopefully doing some really great things next year. Keep an eye out for those. There is going to be an RFP issued very soon for the Enfield Annex to come up with some ideas about how that building can best be used. The town is looking to retain the ball fields and the swimming pool and the indoor courts and the auditorium, but the rest of the building is sort of up for conversation. So look for that if you are a local developer, you know local developers, that could be an interesting project that will be coming out in the next week or so. I've been working very hard. Our office has been working hard. Matt has shown a real commitment to the Thompsonville area. If you don't know Thompsonville, that was the historic carpet making area of town. What you're looking there, the tall tower, is the old fire tower that was built because they needed some sort of fire department to help fight the fires in the carpet mills. And so we have this kind of neat legacy of fire departments in Thompsonville as well. I don't want to say it's the oldest, but I think it's something like the oldest in town, in the state. And we're working really hard in Thompsonville. We have some funding. We had funding that Representative Courtney helped us obtain. We have other funding from the state that we're going to work on streetscaping. We're going to work on community upgrades. And plus, you're going to see a few projects in later slides that are all going to be working together. We have some funding that we've just freed up through the Tax Increment Financing District. If you'd like me to start explaining that, we can leave sometime around 11:30 this morning. We also have an opportunity coming down the line it's called the Connecticut Municipal Redevelopment Authority. We're looking at possibly joining that program, which has access to upwards of $90 million across the state, and we want to look to be able to use some of those dollars. So we also have established, or will be establishing, a facade program for properties in that part of town. So we're really trying to put a lot of carrots into Thompsonville to really make sure that it grows and becomes a community hub again. You may have heard about the train station. Great news, still happening. Bad news is shifted about another year. So it's really looking at 2029 for the opening there. We're going to see the RFP going out in early 2025, maybe December, or early 2026, maybe December. I go back and forth with the folks from DOT on a pretty regular basis. I'd like to blame Windsor Locks if I could. We think that might be the problem. They're running a little behind with that particular project. Of course, Higgins Park, our band shell, and we have really great programs that happen there. If you haven't come to one of those summer concerts, if you haven't sponsored one of those summer concerts, now's your opportunity to do that. Steve would be happy to take your money. It's a fantastic program, and Higgins Park has really become activated, and we look to see those programs that happen there as kind of a secondary town green, but the one that has all the action and activity. This is my cool, sexy picture that came up. That we had a group come in that is a group of planners from around the country called the DPRAT, Design and Preservation Rapid Assistance Team. They came in from all over the country, and they did all kinds of drawings and programs. I know Georgie's here from our planning department. We ate that stuff up. It was fantastic. And they did all kinds of sketches, including the idea of a pier out into the Connecticut River. And wouldn't that be amazing to be able to go out and do that? But they did smaller things like facade design so that we can improve Thompsonville. I have a couple of copies of this. It's available online. If you're interested in Thompsonville in any way, I encourage you to take a look. It's got a ton of great ideas that we are looking to implement and bring forward. Other things municipally, we have the commuter bus is changing its route with the upcoming closure of Enfield Square. It now routes through Thompsonville. We're looking at possibly further changes to that in the future. Call Out Art Squash is a first of its kind art program being held at Thompson Hall, the former Polish National Home in Thompsonville. It is a chance for artists to interpret what the word squash means. Whatever the word squash means to you is how that's getting interpreted. So I hope you can come to that October 17th, 18th, 19th. We are also working with the Capital Region Council of Governments to look at projects including the priority pathways, which could possibly include the Armory branch becoming a rail with trail, not a rail trail, a rail with trail. So that's a neat project that is being investigated right now, as well as we're working with a group that is doing a warehousing study. How do trucks move through our community? How do we warehouse things? Where is the highest intensity? And it's happening all across the capital region, and Enfield is participating in that process. Finally, from municipal side, I want to mention the Enfield Together Coalition. This is a wonderful group of people that are working together. They've done a lot of work with opioid, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, but really what they've been focusing on recently has been the lack of connection. This is an issue that we're seeing, we end up getting buried in our phones. We end up not communicating. We don't come together like this very often. Kids in particular are not coming together. And so this is an opportunity to start that conversation. Last year they held a program on loneliness. And there's building on that program, and it's a pleasure of mine to be working with this group, kind of looking at the world from the physical environment side, as well as all the social sides. So this is an upcoming program, the 24th, right here, 9 o'clock. We hope that you could come out for that. All right, moving on to business-led, try to pick up the pace a touch. We unfortunately have had a few closures in town. You've heard the restaurant business is not exactly what it used to be. So we're navigating our way through that. We have seen growth. LL Bean last year, this was a different picture that showed it under construction. Now it's there and ready to go. Go get your tote bag today. We have had Capriotti's, which is a sub shop. Well, hey, what's the big deal? Well, this was the first one in Connecticut, was located here in the Noble down on Elm Street. The Noble folks are kind of reinventing that whole service area type of situation. I'm always going past and seeing lots of activity at the car wash or people going in and out of Capriotti's. It's a neat place. IHOP just came to town again. They have changed their model a little bit. Again, restaurants not as strong. Takeout, super strong. People want to take out their food and go back home and watch Netflix, which I think speaks to that whole lack of connection thing. So IHOP is a different kind of model. Black Crow, if you've not tried Black Crow, they're down in Thompsonville, one of the first kind of efforts to really get things going. I really encourage you to go down there and check that out on North Main. Really doing great things down there. You may have heard that we have another place that may sell chicken. Buffalo Wild Wings. It's better than chicken. This is better. We don't actually actively encourage that, just so you know. We have a project on Elm Street that recently moved through its permitting process right across from Palumba. This project will include upgrades to the intersection at Palumba, and we're hopeful to see this moving ahead. If you have questions about it, happy to answer those. Aerobond came to town. This company makes parts for helicopters. They're out on Moody Road. They're doing a big investment in Enfield. Is really a great manufacturing program to have in Enfield, and we're just absolutely thrilled to have them. Just a little further down Moody Road, we have an expansion of the Martin Brower warehouse to have truck parking. If you haven't heard, truck use has become an increasingly important aspect of our conversation around economic development. And Martin Brower is being proactive and creating their own space kind of across the street. If you've been out Moody Road anytime recently, there's a lot of dirt being moved. Simpson Strong Tie doubled the size of their warehouse in town, added about 15 new jobs there. You may have heard of the 35 Bacon Road development, was bought by Amazon recently. The actual project has yet to be defined, and we're looking forward to working with them. And I know we have Adam and his team here, Adam Winstanley, and they do great projects. They're really considerate of the community, and so we're really positive about this project. Felician Sisters, I think, is just moving its way through building department, finishing up its process there. I got the nod from Ray, so that thank you, Ray, I appreciate that. So they should be moving forward with their project on the south end of town. This is our Enfield Station project that is on North River. I saw our folks come in this project is really, really positive. It is going to be a riverfront development that echoes the industrial heritage of Thompsonville, bringing people right out to the water, creating really fantastic apartments, luxury style apartments with some great amenities. And I will just say, for Lewis and his whole team, they've been fantastic to work with. You may have heard about the old Mass Mutual, now known as North Point Collection. The Mass Mutual project is being proposed to convert the 3 gray buildings, or the existing buildings, add a 4th apartment building, and then you can see back behind them will be some townhouse types of buildings. So this is a massive, massive project that will be coming down the line for that north end of town. And I don't know if you've had a reason to drive through the north end of town. We seem to have a slight preponderance of smoke shops, and we're hoping to get that area kind of cleaned up and looking a little bit better as this project comes on. And then Enfield Marketplace is still moving forward. This is the conversion of the existing Enfield Square Mall. These are some early concept drawings that were put out there. The project is currently moving through its various iterations. It is at the planning level right now with their special development district, which means that they're setting all the standards for the property and laying out what the property may be used for. The designs have not come in. That will require a different site plan process. But these were some of their early concepts. This is that submission that they had most recently to planning department. I don't know if it's changed since then even, but this was the most recent one. So that was as quick as I could do it and still try to keep myself moving. So I really appreciate it. If you have any questions about any of that, you can feel free to reach out to me or Christy, and we'll be happy to answer any questions, again, if you didn't see the project that is of your primary concern. So I would like now to bring up Joe Courtney. He's been a tireless champion for armed services and veterans and so many things, but also our community. So I'd love to have Joe come up. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you again to Asnuk Community College for once again bringing people together. It was actually just a few weeks ago that we had an event here for the 250th anniversary of the U.S. Navy, which was again another gathering where it was, pretty rare to have people twirling rifles with fixed bayonets out in the hallway there with the honor guard. But it was not just a walk down memory lane type of event. It was also Apex Accelerator, which is a program out of the Department of Defense that helps companies connect to federal contracts. That actually was here, right in this room, setting up for business in terms of trying to, again, raise visibility about opportunities that, again, are very strong right now in the defense sector. See Phoenix Manufacturing here in the room, which is, again, another great supply chain company in aerospace area. And, the Aerobond slide that we just saw from Aaron, in terms of the helicopter program, that is being built in the context of a new $10 billion contract that Lockheed Martin just signed with the Marine Corps for the 53K heavy lift helicopters. That's a 5-year spend that's going to be happening. And, again, they can't do it all down at the plant, at the Sikorsky plant down in Shelton. So they really need to have a very strong network of supply chain companies. And aerospace, obviously this North Central Connecticut is a real center of excellence in terms of, those types of opportunities. But again, it's not limited, obviously, just to helicopters. Some of you probably are kind of tired of listening to me talk about submarines, but the fact of the matter is we got 16 Virginia-class submarines that are bought and paid for in the queue down at Groton. Again, that's a workload that's far more than 5 years. We're probably talking well into the late 2030s. If you also add the Columbia program, which is the replacement program for ballistic submarines, those are 2.5 times the size of Virginia-class submarines. They're massive. The first USS District of Columbia is now sort of in final assembly down in Groton. And, again, the hiring is still, off the charts. I check every day to see what the job openings are, and actually yesterday's figures were 1,400 job openings, about 850 in Groton and the balance in Quonset Point. And I don't know if Alex Johnson is here from the Capital Workforce Board. I saw his name on the RSVP list. But in any case, the workforce boards now are just, obviously very focused in terms of trying to, again, not only extend assistance to help to secondary high schools in terms of tech schools, or even regular comprehensive high schools that are now bringing back SHOP as part of the school curriculum, but also for young adults who maybe want to make a life change in terms of getting an accelerated opportunity to learn a trade, whether it's welding, electricians, shipwrights, which again are in that 1,400 cohort that, again, are jobs that are available today. But having said that, it's the same as with helicopters. You can't do this work all within the shipyard. We need to really grow the supply chain companies that feed into the shipyards that are there. If you just go down the road to Stafford Springs, TTM Technologies, which has 800 workers now, and growing. If you went to their website this morning, they're hiring. But again, they are a supply chain company for both the Virginia and Columbia program, and they also do aerospace as well. So, again, obviously the shutdown is on people's minds right now, but I think it's important because I get asked this question a lot. In terms of the funding for procurement, which is done by private firms, that is not directly impacted today as we stand here. And as I said, the hiring is still going on in these companies. And again, I think Enfield and obviously the manufacturing program here at Asnuntuck College is really perfectly situated in terms of really trying to again use that opportunity to really strengthen the economy that's here. Again, I want to thank the mayor, Matt Koppler. I mentioned Chris Probson was here. I didn't actually see, okay, he didn't make it this morning, but again, this town has had a really, I think, very kind of progressive, aggressive posture in terms of economic development. The only thing I would just sort of add as a footnote to Aaron's comments is, obviously the train station is something that we've been working at for many years now. Again, the federal funds are safe. There's a lot of drama right now about some grants, in terms of the, security of some of those grants, but that money is, and we check with state DOT on a regular basis to make sure that, that's obviously a critical component to building the train station. They claim there's going to be a groundbreaking in a few months, but the 2029 date, which Aaron mentioned, is, I don't know. In any case, we are tracking it and, certainly excited about it still, because I just think giving people an opportunity to, get in and out of Hartford and Springfield, points north and points south, I think without, again, getting on I-91, I think is something that I think is just going to be beneficial and is going to have a nice ripple effect. And the housing that we saw that's sort of, situated near the station, I think is, just really smart policy and planning here for the town. So last night I had a telephone town hall meeting. I had 8,000 people on the call. Believe it, probably no great surprise. Obviously, there's pretty intense interest in terms of what's going on right now. And I would just say this, and I realize this is an incredibly intense issue for people, there is a deal to be made. There's just no question about it. In terms of what I think should be people's focus, and I think this is starting to really grow right now. If you read the front page of the Wall Street Journal this morning, that we're at a point right now today, October 9th, where we're about 5 or 6 days away from the healthcare exchange releasing their premium rates for calendar year 2026. If we do not extend the premium tax credits that have been on the books for 4 years, people are going to get nuked in terms of what they're going to be looking at in terms of premium costs. This affects business, okay? Because a lot of businesses now take advantage of the exchange, using again the premium tax credits to provide health insurance for their employees, tax-free. Kathy Tallarita, who we all know here in town, can help people with information about that. I mean, there really are some very creative ways that small businesses can provide affordable insurance through the exchange. But just looking at sort of what will happen if those credits are not extended. So in Enfield, a couple in their mid-50s making $90,000 a year, which is they're now paying $638 a month. Their premiums are going to go up to $2,214 a month. That's an $18,000 increase on an annual basis in terms of what their health insurance are going to be. In Summers, a family, it's a couple in their 60s, same sort of scenario, $86,000 in income. They're paying $343 a month now, and they're going to pay $33,000 in terms of the annual impact of these premiums that are going into effect. As I said, the Wall Street Journal front page this morning has a story which is completely, aligned with what I'm talking about here. So, and obviously that's a pretty credible news source. And the fact is that, the polling shows the American people support extending those credits. I mean, it's bipartisan in terms of what's out there. Marjorie Taylor Greene, some of you may have read in the news, her two sons got their notices in Georgia of their premium increases. They doubled, and she exploded on social media with tweets saying that her leadership have got to deal with this in terms of bringing back a bill that's going to prevent this from happening. And honestly, it has to happen fast, because if the enrollment period starts on November 1st, which is what the plan is, for this year, they've got to have some certainty in terms of what the premiums are going to be for people to make their choices in terms of what plans are available. It, in my opinion, is completely consistent with the concept of a continuing resolution to continue tax credit assistance that has been on the books for the last 4 years. This is not a new bill. This is not a new plan or new spending. It's just keeping in place, what's on the books right now for people. And it really hits sort of middle class and families. I was on the phone yesterday with Jennifer Lovett. Some of you may know her. She's a health insurance broker in South Windsor. She's staunch Republican, ran for the state Senate in Ellington as a candidate a couple of cycles ago. But she helps people enroll in the plans, and that was her comment to me. This is hitting middle class people. The lower income people are still going to have access to the exchange and still be able to get some premium assistance. But this extension of the enhanced premiums is going to take away, that help for people, again, who hit above about 200 or 300% of the poverty level, which is about $60,000 for a single person and about $110,000 for a couple. This should not be political. I mean, it's just not. It's just about, as I said, trying to find a common ground in a place which, again, if you look at the journal this morning, you will see the polling. The country supports not having people fall off a cliff in terms of their health insurance. So in any case, sorry to bum you out this morning. One caller said I should be hung in a public square last night, which was kind of a interesting input during it. But I'm a big boy, like Ken and I were talking. That's kind of like, you just put your helmet and shoulder pads on every day. So, but anyway, bottom line is, I'm very bullish about, us getting through this. And I do think that, there's a lot of really good things happening in this region. And again, I want to just tell Josh and the folks here at the college, you're really working towards the mission of community college by using, the programs here and the facilities here to really bring people together to, again, innovate and grow and create healthy communities. Thank you very much for the opportunity to stop and say hello.
I'm ready. Are you all ready? Let's get ready. Thank you, man. Yes, let's have some applause for. Let's have some applause for Enfield. Hey, I'm John Bordeaux. I'm the president and CEO of Advanced Connecticut, or Advanced CT. We call it Advanced CT in the state because outside the state, no one's quite sure what a CT is. So we have to explain it and say Connecticut. I'm really happy to be with you all today, and Mayor, thank you, and Aaron, thank you. It's really inspiring to see all the incredible things that are going on in Enfield. It's really incredible to hear all the wonderful things that are going on here at Asnuntuck as well. It's a vibrant community, and the thing that I've been asked to talk to you today about is the future of Connecticut business. I'm going to talk about it a little bit more in the macro sense, but I want to sort of start here in Enfield because what I see for the future of Connecticut business is in microcosm here in Enfield. I see local leadership, I see educational leadership, I see corporate leadership coming together, communicating and acting as one for the good of our citizens and for our communities. That is inspiring, and it is actually something that happens very, very well here in Connecticut and doesn't always happen as well elsewhere. And we actually have proof and evidence of that as we talk to companies from all over the world who are considering coming to Connecticut and learn of their experience in other locales, which are perhaps not quite as welcoming as a place like Connecticut. So very quickly, for those of you who do not know, Advanced CT, we're the private part of the public-private partnership for economic development for the state. So we're board-led by CEOs here in the state of Connecticut. That's the private side. The public side is Governor Lamont and Commissioner O'Keefe, who has called me twice during this breakfast so far, and I have told him that I'm not available. So I may not be the head of the private part by noon, but that's how it goes sometimes. Advanced CT is just 5 years old, and our job writ large is business development. We're here to help attract businesses to the state and help businesses that are here make the choice to invest in Connecticut and to make the argument that their next investment ought to be here and to help make the connections and reduce the barriers for that. So the way that we do that is the same way that you do that here in Enfield, is we connect people to assets and ensure that those assets, those valuable assets, are known, understood, and interconnected. Because when we do that, what we'll ultimately do is de-risk an investment choice. When you have access to government, when you have access to educational institutions, when you have access to partners, when you have access to supply chain, all of this access that we, in many ways, take for granted in Connecticut. We take for granted the fact that we're highly networked and community-oriented. When you do that, this is an asset that we have writ large in Connecticut that is now a way that, quite frankly, we close business for Connecticut. So when I think about the future, I often think about the past. I'm a historian by training. I was going to be a history professor. It turns out that history professors have really a lot of trouble paying rent, and you've got to go to a lot more school. So I abandoned that pretty quickly, but still really enjoy looking back. And one of the things I want to tell you is that our history is the key to our future. Our history is the key to our future because we are a state of innovation. We are a state of getting complicated things done. We do hard things here really, really well. And we've been doing it for a really long time. So someone recently gave me this, but I put this all together with AI, so I'm really very interested to point out something to you in a moment. That for a very long time, we've been talking about the assets that Connecticut has, about manufacturing, about our skilled workforce, and about the way that we bring a business mindset. The reason why I wanted to point this out is I asked AI to put together a past and future and to put this scanned document in the middle. If you have an eagle eye, you'll notice that AI changed all the text, so that Connecticut was now settled in 1955, that we're first in percentage of skilled workers to total workers. It actually says total in the real scan and everything like that. So just a little plug. Use AI. Check AI, right? Like someone said to me recently, oh, this AI is great. It's like having a very enthusiastic intern. Gets a lot of output, needs to be, has no experience, and needs to be double checked. So we can be very excited about our skilled photo workers, according to AI. But when I look back, I see a history of innovation. I see like innovation is our birthright. And this is what's happening today. This is why, and we were just talking, and I just met someone from Aerobond, like, composites manufacturing, like the things that we do here in Connecticut and the things that we have invented, the things that we bring together and bring to market are basically impossible. We do the impossible. We make the impossible possible every day in a broad range of industries, from advanced manufacturing to insurance and financial services to life sciences and to technology. We do hard things well. And this is a distinguishing characteristic for Connecticut. And one of the things one of my asks for you today is to brag about Connecticut. Brag about what we have done, brag about what we are doing, and brag about what we're going to do. The rest of the country's, I'm originally from Georgia. We're great about bragging about things that we haven't done yet. We're going to tell you and brag about our plans. In Connecticut, we're not always good about bragging about the stuff we've been doing for 10, 15, 20, 50, and 100 years. And we need to change that a little bit. So looking around, we have a state that is absolutely filled to the brim with these companies that do impossible things. I was just last night at the Pratt & Whitney 100th birthday party. What they do there is really, really, really hard. What ASML is doing down in Wilton, for those of you who don't know this, you have to buy an ASML product to make a microchip. That technology called photolithography was invented in Connecticut in the late 1960s and first commercialized in the early 70s. Without Connecticut and without a small town outside of Eindhoven in the Netherlands called Veldhoven, all the Hovens, if Wilton and Veldhoven disappear, you've got about 6 months before you don't have a microchip, capacity to make a microchip on planet Earth. So you'll see our friends at upstate New York, Micron, multi-billion-dollar facilities going in to make fabs to make microchips. 30% of the CapEx in all of those facilities goes to ASML. ASML has 3,500 employees in Connecticut, and they're building their supply chain here now. And we're going to build it up and down the state. We're actively trying to import companies from the Netherlands that do precision manufacturing in the semiconductor capital equipment space. Why? Because it is right for Connecticut, and the folks that are, the Dutch come and look at Connecticut, they look at North Carolina, they look at Texas, and then they stop looking at those other places. They're looking at us because we do hard things and we do it well. We have this incredible workforce, and being at Asnuntuck and talking about workforce development and our education is really appropriate. We have an incredible education system, pre-K through 12. We have an incredible university system from community college to advanced degrees. We have this world-class workforce, and it's our calling card. Governor Lamont says this all the time. Texas has oil, Florida has sunshine. We just have really, really good people that are super smart, well-educated, come to work every day and get things done. One of the things we found sometimes is that when companies go and look elsewhere and say, I'm going to save 9% on labor costs by opening my next facility somewhere else. Well, 3 years into those little experiments, what they found is that the productivity of the Connecticut workforce is so much higher that it is actually more expensive for them to open up somewhere else where they're paying less because they're not getting as much done. I know this being from Georgia. There are plants that have been opened in the southeast where folks that they didn't know that no one was going to show up to work on the first day of hunting season. I knew that. But it's true. Where there's not a social safety net, so that when a worker's mother is ill, they're going to the emergency room together and they're waiting 8 hours for care. They're not coming to work. We don't do that in Connecticut. We do things a little bit differently. And what is that? That's worker productivity. And with this world-class workforce that we have and the investments that we continue to make there, this is part of our future, what we're doing right now. This is where we're going. Right? It's extremely educated workforce, extremely high GDP here in Connecticut. I'm going to talk about that towards the end as well. Connecticut, we used to be ding ourselves. By the way, we're really good at talking ourselves down. Please stop that. It makes my job harder. Please make my job easier, please. We sometimes give ourselves a hard time by calling ourselves the land of steady habits. Right now, if you ask a CEO anywhere in the world, what kind of environment would you like to be in? The answer is a land of steady habits. We are predictable, and we have increased the predictability of the state over the course of the last several years by creating a fiscal position that's enviable to other states. And this is part of our calling card when we go out around the world and around the country to talk about this. So currently, and so whenever you see a slide like this, I know sometimes people's eyes glaze over, and we have a phenomenal research unit at Advanced CT that helps us look at data. But we recently had some really good GDP news on a quarterly basis, where Connecticut is the 9th fastest growing economy in the United States. We're the #1 fastest growing economy in New England. This is on last quarter's basis. Now, I'm also the guy that will tell you not to look at things on a quarterly basis, but to look at trends, right? And the trends are right here. The trends is that our GDP is growing. It's because the economy that we have, the advanced economy that we have, is the envy of our neighbors and elsewhere. Our economy is the part of the economy that's going to continue growing. Our economy is the economy that's going to deliver value and higher value over the course of the years to come. And I think it's very exciting for us to be able to talk about this and to really brag about the fact that our economy is growing well. We continue to, and we have rebounded from the COVID job contraction and continue to grow. This is a double-edged sword, and we know this, right? I know this from talking to employers every day. We have job openings, and we don't quite have enough people for them. That's not a Connecticut problem. That's a national problem. That's an international problem. The only places where there are more people than there are jobs are places that you don't want to go. Like if you want to open a factory in Syria, right? Lots of people, not very many jobs right now. Like there are places to do that, but this is not a Connecticut problem. But we need a Connecticut solution for that, and I think that we're working very hard on that and doing a very, very nice job with our friends. And you'll be hearing from CCAT about bringing how do we make each individual worker more and more and more productive, which is making each individual worker more and more valuable, which is making Connecticut more and more competitive. We continue to grow as a population. This is really great news. We had lots of contraction over the course of years, and we've reversed that trend. And I will say, I'm always like to be a realist, again, from Advanced CT research. Like, whenever I say our population is growing, someone tells me, well, I have a 21-year-old son. He's in college in Chicago, and he's told me that he's not coming back to Connecticut. And I'm like, well, why not? He's like, well, I want to go to insert the list of cities that you all know. What I always say to folks when I hear that is that 22-year-old college-educated kids often are free range, and we ought to let them go. And free range. 22-year-old college graduates in Hawaii think they're trapped on an island, right? Where I come from in Georgia, people leave to go to Miami and Washington, D.C. People do leave some of the places they go, but in Connecticut, they come back, right? And this is the important part. We do lose people on the young end of the spectrum and on the old end of the spectrum. But what we get is folks in the middle who want to raise families and have really phenomenal jobs, or what I like to call earners. We're keeping the earners. and we're getting the earners back into Connecticut, and that's where our population growth is happening. I think it's pretty exciting. Would I like to keep do I want my son to move back? Yeah, most of the time, not all the time, right? Because the closer he is to home, the closer he is to my checkbook, right? So, I don't know if you guys, I get Venmos, like Venmo request, $61.82 for snacks. I'm like, deny. But would I like him back? Sure, I would like him back. Do I think he's gonna come back? You damn right I do. He's gonna get married, he's gonna find a partner, and he's gonna remember being brought up in Connecticut, and there's gonna be a phenomenal job here for him, and he's gonna look around to the city that he's in and say, this is harder than I want it to be. I wanna go to the place where I was raised. I wanna go to the place where my community is surrounding me. I believe that that's happening, and that's the story that we have to tell, and that's the story that we need to share. I'm sorry that our 22-year-olds are leaving. I'm mostly sorry that my 22-year-old is leaving, but he'll be back. So where do we go from here, right? And this is, I think there are exciting things in motion in Connecticut, but it's all built on what we have done. It's all built on who we are as a people, highly productive, that show up to work every day and get hard stuff done. And it is built on, I believe, an increasing optimism on who we are as a people and who we are as a state. And I want to ask you to invest in that optimism today. I'm going to give you some reasons to be optimistic, right? We are slowly but surely improving affordability for residents and businesses. Now, I hear this all the time. We're competing for life sciences companies between Boston and the Research Triangle in North Carolina. And folks will tell me, well, houses in Connecticut are more expensive than houses in North Carolina. That is true. Houses in Connecticut are not more expensive than houses in North Carolina where you'd live, right? There are lots of places in North Carolina that you won't live, right? In my home state of Georgia, people say, well, it's more expensive to live in Connecticut than it is in Georgia. Not true. If you live where there's a job that you want to have, in a community and neighborhood that you want to be in, with a school that you might want to send your kids to, which, by the way, in Atlanta is usually a private school, which costs between $50,000 and $70,000 a year, you're paying West Hartford rent. You're paying more than you are for a house in Connecticut, right? Why? What's the data look like? Well, when you take Georgia, you get to include Toccoa, Georgia. Anyone been to Toccoa, Georgia besides me? Nope. Do not recommend. There's a nice summer camp there, right? There's also a lot of trailer parks, and the grocery store is also a gas station, right? Those houses are cheap, right? And they drive down the average price. So when I'm working with businesses and asking them, and they are asking me, well, why is this cheaper over here? Why is it so expensive in Connecticut? I ask them, are we comparing apples to apples? And let's do the math together. A lot of times when we do the math together and sit down and do the math together, it is not more expensive. And when people don't want to sit down and do the math, they're not good for Connecticut. We don't want people here that aren't willing to sit down and do the math because their business is not going to succeed. So we have to talk about some of the headwinds, right? Tariffs. We're going to keep on hearing about that. Tariffs are here to stay. It's unfortunate. And what we desperately need in the tariff policy, and everyone knows this, and some people will say it, that we need predictability. And when we talk to companies abroad, and we just had a team member that just got back from Switzerland. I'll be in Germany in a couple of weeks. They all tell us the same thing. Tariff us 15%, tariff us 50%, tariff us 100%. We don't care. Just choose. Then we can sit down and do the math and understand whether or not the business case works. Right now, this unpredictability is creating headwinds and problems for us. The good news is that when we look at the pipeline of businesses that are looking about entering the U.S. market, everyone still wants to enter the U.S. market. It's a valuable market. People want to be here. They're having trouble computing, doing the math, and making sure that it works for them. But they're not stopping. They're pausing. they're considering, they're thinking, they're calculating. And what we're doing is making sure that they know and understand all of the assets that are here in Connecticut waiting for them, waiting to make them successful when that math works on these factors that are a bit outside of our control. Right? In our companies, as we talk to them, there is a negative impact on raw material. Right? This is a very, when we're an advanced manufacturing state. When steel is more expensive, it's tough. When lumber is more expensive in the construction industry, it's tough. When electronic devices cost more, it's tough. And so we're looking, again, going back for our past, now looking to the future. Being the land of steady habits is a land of predictability. And predictability is what businesses need in a highly unpredictable environment. So we're also responding on our front foot. So this is a DECD program, the Strategic Supply Chain Initiative. Advanced CT was really involved in bringing this together with DECD. And this was announced in January in anticipation of the tariffs. And there have been 2 announced projects. Trump, got to hit the F really hard. And GKN Aerospace, which was just announced a few weeks ago. And this is about onshoring. Trump has onshored from Austria. GKN is moving an entire division of its business from Sweden to Newington to 3D print structural components for the jet engine industry for the first time. 3D printed titanium parts. They're so vital. They're the parts that hold the engine on the plane, very important, cannot fail. So the first 3D printed titanium parts ever put into production on airplanes are going to be made in Connecticut, which is exactly right. Is it hard? Was it impossible 5 years ago? Did no one think anyone would ever do it? Yes, yes, yes. Good for Connecticut, and that's what we're doing. This is a massive investment that GKN is making, and we in the state of Connecticut are making a modest investment alongside of them to grow this business, because not only will GKN be doing this, but they will soon be down Electric Boat. They will soon be with other companies here talking about how this additive work is going to save time, save energy, save raw material, and save money. 2 weeks ago, there was another investment, the Innovation Cluster program down in New Haven. But this is about advanced technology and about making sure that we have a home here in Connecticut for advanced technology. So this is another $50 million investment. And I'm talking about money here, but really what I want you to take away is not the dollars, but the mindset. What are we investing in? Well, we're investing on the strategic supply chains to hedge against uncertainty in the environment, to support advanced manufacturing, the most advanced manufacturing in Connecticut. With the Innovation Cluster program, we're investing in next generation technology, not the type of technology that we read about in the paper all the time. Like I call it the difference between East Coast and West Coast technology. West Coast technology we read in the paper all the time, billion-dollar valuations, and then my children use it to make memes. East Coast technology is within an industry and has to produce an ROI, and you'll never hear about it, but it'll be the most valuable thing that's ever been invented, right? And so that's what we're doing in Connecticut. This is applied technology. The Innovation Cluster in New Haven, which was announced, is around life sciences and bringing advanced technology into that, bringing AI and ultimately quantum computing into that. And this is where we're on our front foot as a state. So, does anyone know who this guy is? He looks very French. That's right, he is. I'm a Bordeaux, so I can sort of, figure it out. This is Michel Devoret. Dr. Devoret won the Nobel Prize in Physics earlier this week. He is a Yale emeritus professor. What did he win the Nobel Prize for? The underlying research that makes quantum computing possible. He did that work at Yale. Yale is the oldest quantum institute in the world, ancient by quantum standards, founded in 1998. The basic science of quantum computing was done here in Connecticut. right? In the very same way that we basically invented jet engines, in the very same way that we put the first nuclear submarine out to sea, in the very same way that we invented and commercialized photolithography to make microchips, we invented and created the technology and the research that makes quantum computing possible. This innovation is our birthright, and now it is time for us to step out and claim it. Right now, Connecticut is a finalist for a $164 million National Science Foundation grant, but we're going to be investing alongside that in this work. What's this going to do for Connecticut? AI and quantum are buzzwords right now. Everyone just learned how to spell AI, right? People, if you can explain quantum computing to me, I would love to talk to you. It's really complicated. But what we do know is that the applied technology into manufacturing, the applied technology into insurance and financial services, the applied technology into life sciences are fundamentally going to change these industries. And we are the leaders in this, and we have to get out there and claim this. My pals in New Mexico recently sent out a press release saying that they're going to be the quantum capital of something or other. It doesn't even matter. It's like they're bragging again about stuff that they haven't done. We're just starting to brag about the stuff that we've been doing since 1998. And it is not an overstatement to say that at quantum institutes all over the world, they can chart their lineage back to the state of Connecticut. They studied here or were taught by someone who studied here. This future technology, which will fundamentally change the planet, is invented in Connecticut, and we need to own that. And it will change the way that we do everything. This is why, when we go and talk about Connecticut around the world, and I wish that I could show each and every one of you Connecticut through the eyes of the people who see it for the first time. When we bring somebody from Switzerland or from India or from the Netherlands to see Connecticut, what they see blows their mind. They see a corporate community that has been innovating for hundreds of years. They see communities that come together like this, cooperatively and in conversation. They see educational institutions that are producing workforce to go onto the line today and doctorates that are creating the science of tomorrow. They see brands that are doing incredible stuff every day that they know and they love and they believe in. They see their fellow countrymen investing here. And this foreign direct investment is a key part of our growth strategy for the state and a key part of what we're doing in Advance Connecticut. If I could show you Connecticut through somebody's eyes that is coming here for the first time, you would be seeing a love story. They love it here. It is a beautiful place to live. Our communities are extraordinary. This community is extraordinary. They see all of that, and they want to make Connecticut their home. And we're proud to be able to do that. We need you to do exactly what you're doing. All the things that are going on here in Enfield are part of what make all of this possible. And for us, as we're going out and telling Connecticut's story to the world, as you continue to do this work, we are telling your story. And my ask to you is to tell your story louder, to claim Connecticut as your own, to claim it, our birthright of innovation and excellence, as our calling card to the world. Connecticut's not right for everybody, but it's right for us. And when they come around and look at it for the first time, they know it's right for them too. And we're extremely proud of that. So with that, I'm going to close and say thank you very much. Put the picture that my mom loves so much. If you ever follow me on LinkedIn, Elaine Bordeaux is the first person who likes anything that I put up there. It's my 84-year-old mom in a retirement community in Georgia, who also loves Connecticut. But if you follow us on social media, you'll see what we're up to. We need your help. We need your partnership. We respect everything and love everything that you're doing here. And thank you so much for your partnership in building a stronger and better Connecticut. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Do I need to go? I'm a little shorter than John. Does that work? It doesn't seem like it's working. Do I need to hit the button?
That's all right. You're good.
It's okay. You set me up for a good technology talk. So I'm glad John got to do all the economics and the bar charts, because what I get to do is talk to you about technology. And what I'm hoping to do is give you an insight to how manufacturers are actually implementing AI and some of these technologies at their companies. So I'm so excited to be here today. I wanted to thank Aaron for coordinating this event. And, Dr. Moon, it's so great to be here at CT State as Nuntech. What we do at CCAT is our mission is to really help manufacturing companies adopt technology and upskill their workforce to support the adoption of that technology. And so I'm going to give you a little bit of insight into what's actually going on with technology, advanced technologies, and AI in manufacturing. So, really, we're using AI, machine learning, and digital twins in manufacturing to achieve all sorts of business results. We're able to improve operational effectiveness. We're able to reduce lead times for products to manufacturers. We're able to improve the quality and the output, and we're making businesses more resilient, healthy, so that they sustain and can compete against a lot of these foreign work, and also places in Connecticut, at least for folks in other states. And so a lot of times, my first 10 years of work I spent as a manufacturing engineer in a small and medium-sized manufacturer. I actually had to purchase and install and integrate a lot of these robotics and automation systems. And I can tell you, if you work in the manufacturing industry, I would say maybe about 60 or 70% of those systems worked, and there were about 30% of them that did not work because the technology and the capability just wasn't there. And a lot of you guys have probably been into factories where there's a robotic system over in the corner, right, that you could not get to work. But that was over 20 years ago, and our technology is better. So what's better? Why did robotic systems not work as well 20 years ago? A lot of it is because we didn't have the capability in computing. We didn't have inexpensive chips. We didn't have inexpensive sensors. And the real difference is the ability to collect that real-time data and operate on it so that these automated systems are reliable. And we didn't have that 20 years ago. And so if you haven't been out to the manufacturing floors and seen current new automation systems, they're much more reliable, and they're more reliable because we can put an IoT network of sensors, we can collect that data real time, we can use AI machine learning algorithms on that data to analyze the data, and we can predict performance. So some of the things, I'll show you what we're doing at CCAT and how we're helping some companies adopt this technology. So what are some of the AI methods that we're using in manufacturing? We're using something called training methods. We're using multimodal foundation models. We're using really great hardware components that are improved. And the result is that we have enabling robots to handle variability, which we didn't used to be able to do before, and to adapt real time to things that are unexpected. So before, we could program and predict things in advance of what our automated and robotic systems did, and then they went to execute that, but because they couldn't see what was happening in real time, they couldn't adapt and they could fail. And so the big difference right now is being able to see that real-time information, being really able to understand what's going on in that environment, react and predict and change. So we are also able to improve the deployment of those systems through virtual training and these intuitive interfaces that we didn't have before. So the results are that we have significantly reduced time to value, expanding accessibility, and especially for even small and medium-sized manufacturers. So, a lot of the times I hear from folks, well, a small company can't do that. But I can tell you from working at CCAT and the hundreds of companies that we work in Connecticut, I've been into companies, and I think Eileen Candles, you've been into companies, who's here from CCAT, they have 10, 20, 30 employees, and they're sending folks through our digital thread lab to get digital skills and learn digital thread, digital twin, and AI. We've had the entire staff at those companies come through and get training, and we're helping them implement. So that idea that you have to be a large company or that small companies can't do that, it's just a myth. It's not true. And so these small companies can adopt these technologies with help and support from all the resources here that we have in Connecticut. So these are some of the methods that we're implementing, and really for AI in manufacturing, there's 3 landscapes here. One is we're using rule-based robotics. This type of method helps with repetitive tasks that are done over and over again. We have really great algorithms that help to automate those tasks. Then we have this area that we use training-based robotics and AI training, a simulation-based AI training. This is great for tasks that, say you have a product at your manufacturing company and you have highly variable parts and manufacturing processes. This is great for that area. It's not repetitive. Something's different every time, but we have methods to deal with that variation. And then the last part here is when you have a completely unexpected thing happen that you couldn't predict. And we have robots and automation and cobots that can actually, with these algorithms, learn. And so they can take natural language, they can see things from vision systems and take that in, and they can actually learn and react appropriately. These are algorithms and technologies we didn't really have 10 years ago that were implementable on the shop floor. So by orchestrating these autonomous systems, we get really great business metrics. And so for me, I grew up as an industrial engineer and manufacturing engineer. I spent a lot of time doing improvements to production lines. And John, I think some of the things you talked about is you can make great incremental work with techniques like lean manufacturing or quality improvements or Six Sigma. You can reduce your variability. You can reduce and improve your efficiency by 5, 10, 15%. But if you want to make big jumps where you're really making a change in your business and you want to improve something by 10, 20, 30, 40%, to make that jump, a lot of times you're going to have to adopt new technology to do that. It's a way to do it faster rather than smaller incremental changes over time. So we can improve improve delivery. The other thing that happens when you adopt technologies are people improve their skills. That requires higher skills and higher salaries. So it's actually driving 30% more skilled roles. So a lot of the companies that do that have higher skills, higher wages, and that's great for the economy. So there's typically a 25% boost in efficiency at some of these companies, and we can cut deployment time and reduce operational costs. So this is a little bit difficult to see, but this is what an automated factory looks like. And there's some direct manufacturing applications for AI, and there's some indirect manufacturing. So a lot of people think that we can only use AI to automate, some like administrative functions, but we can use AI on machines, on manufacturing processes, on quality inspection processes, and make improvements to into our production areas. So from the workforce side, I think Joe Courtney talked about this as well as John, but we need more folks to come into manufacturing. There's a lot of jobs out there that are not filled. So we need more manufacturing employees. It's a gateway to high-paying jobs and job quality through innovation and creative work. I think about the role of places like CT State, as Nuntech. What you guys do here is really important. You're training really the next generation of the manufacturing workforce. You're training them in all of these really important basic skills and foundations that these manufacturing companies need. They come into the workforce And then what a lot of us are doing at CCAT and our technology partners and the manufacturers is that we're then able to upskill them for some of these more advanced technologies. So it really takes all of us working together to create this next generation of manufacturing workforce that we need. So we need to upskill the current employees for technology adoption. At CCAT, we have 3 programs that do this. This year, we're launching the MIT TechAmp program that was developed by MIT. It's rolled out in several states in the region, and it's to create a new role called a technologist. So it's an upskilling program where folks that on your shop floor that have high potential can go through this training, and they get the skills that they need to actually evaluate technologies and implement those. They don't necessarily need an engineering degree to do that. And there's not enough people, not enough engineers in the world to actually do this, to implement the technology that we need. But we could take, for instance, graduates from CT State as Nuntech, have them go to work, put them through the technologist program, and have the skills so that they can help companies adopt this new technology. We have a digital thread lab and an additive workflows lab where employees from manufacturers in Connecticut come in and learn the skills that they need to adopt these new technologies. So at CCAT, we have 3 technology centers: a design, automation, and metrology center, an additive technology center, an advanced composites technology center, and a digital thread and automation training lab. So manufacturers can come in and get free or low-cost engineering and technology services to help them adopt these technologies. We have physical facilities down in East Hartford where you can bring your products in and we can show you how you can adopt these technologies on your products. We have a demonstration center that has this technology, and so it really gets to that idea of de-risking technology adoption. We can show you how this tech will technically work on your own product, and then we can also show you estimate return on investment that you can get by adopting that tech. So it's much easier for manufacturers to go back to owners or presidents of companies because we've shown that this technically works on the piece of equipment, and we've helped you actually predict the ROI through a demonstration. And so it's easier to come back to your owners and presidents of companies and say, hey, we can adopt this, and we did all this before you had to make the investment, right? So it's easier for companies to adopt. So some of the services that we provide at CCAT, advanced manufacturing training, we run talent development programs, we do technology assessments and evaluation, we do regional events and coordinate to make people aware of these technologies and what they can do. We do custom R&D projects. So, people may not know, but that GKN project that they're bringing, this huge additive business, CCAT actually did R&D work with them for additive many, many years ago. That was the first impetus of that. So sometimes what we're doing, you may not see it immediately, but several years later makes a huge impact for companies in Connecticut. So, what we do is we provide end-to-end services to manufacturers, and we are a nonprofit. We're really here to help manufacturing companies get over that technology hump, get them to adopt the technology, give them the skills that they need to adopt that technology, and then they move on, right? Once they have that technology, they get support from the technology companies to sustain it. And then they also get help from colleges and universities to continue to upskill. So we're really here just to get that going. And then we partner with universities and colleges, our technology partners, to help them to sustain those technologies once they're there. And we do that through engineering services, training programs, stimulus capital, which we administer for the state. And then we do this not only in Connecticut, but for the region. So what do? We can go into companies and actually do a maturity assessment for your technology, whether it's additive, your machining, model-based definition, digital thread. We go in, we can do a score, we can make an assessment, we can make recommendations, we can bring your projects in, do demonstrations, we can train your staff. We provide some of the stimulus capital from the state to actually help you purchase those technologies. and then you purchase and adopt, and we support you on that way. So what do we do at CCAT? So part of what we can do, there's a lot of technologies out there, AI, digital twin, digital thread, model-based definition, AR, VR, additive. But what we've done is put together package solutions that are easy for small and medium-sized manufacturers. It means that we've integrated the hardware, the software, the training, and we've done this package solution for many manufacturers, so it's proven. So it really means those small and medium-sized manufacturers that maybe don't have a lot of R&D staff. You know, it's really hard for any engineer to be understand all of these different technologies and be an expert in them. It's really harder for a smaller and medium-sized manufacturer. So what we can do is be that, help fill those gaps for those companies of technical expertise. And we have packages that we've proven at our center and proven with other manufacturers that work, again, de-risking, you know, the adoption of those technologies. This is an example, you know, Brittany Isherwood at Burke Aerospace is one of the folks who took advantage of the additive voucher program and really changed her business by adopting additive technologies. And we have hundreds of these types of examples from companies that really changed their business. They not only got tech support from us, but we trained their staff. We helped them get the funding to purchase the equipment. We helped them with the installation. And, you know, really, you know, I'm here too to make sure that you guys understand what services are available to your manufacturers in Connecticut. They can get this. So, you know, me and Eileen call this the money for manufacturing slide. It's really all of the funding that's available to manufacturers and specifically to companies in Enfield that could be taking advantage of these grants. So I brought my little cheat sheet here, and I listed all the companies here in Enfield that have taken advantage of these grants. Aerobond Composites, I think somebody's here from there, right? $86,000 that they got to help it to acquire new technology. Atlantic Woodcraft, Ceratec Medical Corp, Control Module Inc., Conval, Excel Technologies, PCX Aerosystems, Phoenix Manufacturing is here, right? You guys got a lot, $309,000, right? Senior Aerospace Connecticut, United Metalworking Industries, Vortex Systems, Yankee Casting. All these companies got $50,000 to $100,000 or more dollars to help them purchase. Why is that important? You know, this is state funding, but those companies, they also invested their own money in this. They invested 2 to 3 times this money. So think about the impact of that investment into the companies and also the upskilling of the workforce that went along with this. These are the things that with a small amount of money of leverage, we can really drive economic impact, advanced technology adoption, advanced technical skills in our companies, and it's why we can be what John showed you, right? This great place, this great ecosystem of manufacturers in Connecticut because we're doing this and we're doing it better than other states. So how about AI? So in our technology center, Nasir Manin, our principal engineer, who's worked there for over 20 years, right, helping companies adopt these technologies, we've currently built an autonomous cell. This is a complete autonomous cell with parts coming in, being machined, sheet metal fabrication, full inspection, robotics automation with control systems with AI and digital twin applications. So you know what we've always done at CCAT is tried to show small and medium-sized manufacturers how you can get off-the-shelf package solutions that you can purchase and adopt to help you implement this technology. These companies, you know, aren't going to go out and write their own AI and machine learning algorithms. These need to be accessible to folks. So what we've done is found is the best technologies we could that are off the shelf, easy to implement, and we're demonstrating those in the cell. So really CCAT is a great place and an opportunity for manufacturing companies to figure out how do I implement AI on my manufacturing floor. We have those solutions for you. And again, we've built them in package solutions that you can adopt. So we're implementing AI and machine learning. We're demonstrating it on the cell. Again, we can bring in your products and your parts and our technologies and show you how you can use AI and machine learning to improve your current products and your current processes with demonstrations in our cell. So this is all the hardware and software in our cell, but you can have other hardware and software technologies, but this is some of our demonstration. And this is the framework that we have to demonstrate to companies how you can build out a platform where you can implement AI and machine learning. And it's a combination of your product lifecycle system, your MES system. If you don't have those, we help companies adopt those. And then we show you how you can build AI and ML into those systems and do real-time feedback. So what does that really mean? So just an example of this is we have a machining cell set up with 7 or 8 sensors on the machining cell. We have a digital model. We have AI machine learning algorithms, and we're watching the building of that part. There's a CAD program, there's a CAM program, and when we're taking that real-time data, we can actually observe tool wear. We can see when an error occurs. The AI machine learning will actually real-time change the tool path. It will change what we had programmed to what it's seeing. It can correct the part before it's even off the machine. This is what AI and machine learning does in manufacturing. So all of you all familiar with manufacturing, what if every part you made you could fix before it finished the machine? And you didn't find out later that there's a quality problem. It's a huge impact on business. And again, I'll tell you, it's not that hard. You can do this, and there's technology off the shelf that can help you do this. So we can also do autonomous welding. We have an example set up for that. A lot of industries are interested in that. And then we can use AI for inspection and metrology. We have a digital thread lab with funding from the federal government. We've been running this for a year and a half. We teach digital thread, model-based definition, digital thread, digital twin, AI for manufacturing. We've had over 700 people come through training. We've had about 200 to 300 people do intensive career path training so that they're digital manufacturing, digital engineering, digital quality inspectors, and can bring this technology back to their job. We have 18 seats, and we run training every week in East Hartford. We're basically teaching folks how to take those tech data packages, bring them in, do digital engineering, manufacturing, QA inspection, send those packages back to their OEM and customers. Why is this important? It's now a contractual requirement from the DoD. So those 600 defense contractors in this state have to adopt this methodology by contract, and we're here as a resource to help those folks do that. Again, we have additive technology resources, a demonstration center and training site, and these are all the ways that CCAT is helping companies in Connecticut adopt new technology and AI. So I'll kind of end with the note. I always like to lead back to what John said. Our small and medium-sized manufacturers in Connecticut, you said that we make the impossible possible. And we do that because we have really smart people, we have great educational institutions, we have a great state that invests in the advancement of our companies, our manufacturing base, the adoption of those technologies, the upskilling, and this is really what differentiates us from other states. We're truly excellent. You can walk into small companies here that make high precision, very complicated parts, and it's a company of 20 people, and they do it because they've been doing it for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, and they're experts at what they do, and it's something to be very proud of, in the state of Connecticut. These SMMs are really the backbone of innovation for Connecticut. They offer these great places where people in these companies are innovative. The people are able to have great quality jobs, have innovation and creativity. It's one of the best quality jobs in America, right, to work in manufacturing. And it really drives innovation for the state. They have innovative products. It's not just products, but their processes. And So I think that they're an important part of our state and our economy. So anyone here is a manufacturer, please reach out to CCAT if you need help with adopting these two technologies. And just want to thank Aaron again for having us here to talk about, a little bit of the landscape and to give you a sense that, AI for manufacturing isn't just a pipe dream. There's off-the-shelf products that you can get to implement this. And there's going to obviously be more of this. It's going to drive our economy. It's going to drive our workforce and training. It's going to drive technology. And so thank you guys for inviting me here to talk about this. Thanks.
All right, so thank you, Amy. Thank you, John, Representative Courtney. Again, big thank you to Asnuntuck for hosting us here. I don't know if you know this, but the food out there was being done by the Enfield High School culinary program. They may still be hanging around out there. There's definitely some food. Thank you to them. All of our great town staff who've been here helping out, help us get everything set up. I want to make sure that you keep an eye out for some of our smaller economic development roundtables. Mary Ann Turner, our EDC chair, is here, and we've been looking for programs and things that we can put on around that. So we'd love to know how we can work with you or what you all need to know. And with that, thank you for being here. Have a great day, and feel free to mingle out.